Well, hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Blog Rundown, the weekly show from Movie Burner Entertainment, where we discuss all the latest written reviews from our writing team here at MB. What have we got up first, John?
Up first, Stephen, is the Quake from last year, 2018, of course. If you've been under a rock or maybe had a bout of amnesia, and it was 2018 last year. This one was reviewed by DM, also Dave Anderson.
Yeah.
And it is a foreign language Norwegian disaster action film, Stephen, directed by John Andreas Anderson. It was written by John Kari Raka, Harold Rosenlau Eek, I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
And it stars Christopher Joner, Annie Del Torp, Jonas Hoff Oftebro, Edith Hagerund Sander,
Myself here, John.
Catherine Forburg Johansson. I committed myself to them all. I couldn't
Can
pronounce them.
Can you pronounce the original title of the movie?
Skjelvet. I hope that's right. If there's anybody from Norway watching this, and I doubt it, but if they are, comment below after this and let us know if I butchers your language.
English,
yeah, I hope I get it right. But look, Stephen, I've seen this film, I actually did.
Yeah.
I watched it because I knew we were going to be discussing it. This is one of the perks of reducing the shows or the number of films we speak to two on the Blog Rundown. It means you get a bit of a backlog and it gives you time to go and watch them instead of just thrusting yourself right into it and not watching any of the films. I've seen the two films in this show and I really enjoyed this film. I didn't see the previous one. I think it was called The Wave. This is a sequel. We both spoke about that. It's very unusual to have a sequel to a disaster film. It's
never heard of it.
I think they're doing it with San Andreas though. I think there's another San Andreas sequel coming. I don't want that. I haven't seen that because it was a terrible film. It wasn't terrible. I've been a little bit harsh. It was okay. Just typical Dwayne Johnson. Big blockbuster, bombastic visual, sort of a flair, you know what you're getting with Dwayne. He carries it with ease, but it's not The Quake. The Quake was how you do a disaster film, I have to say. If this is even remotely as good as, The Wave is even remotely as good as The Quake, then I will definitely be going back to watch that as well. I really enjoyed it, Stephen. It had a fairly linear story, as you'd expect with these sort of films. That tends to be what you get with the disaster films. Kind of it hits upon the usual sort of a cliches of a disaster genre where you've got the sort of a
so-called expert.
Yeah, the loner, sort of a hermit expert, locked himself away, trying to deal with the struggles of the previous event that he's been involved in The Wave, I believe it's probably been. Come to terms with the fact that there's this big sort of a geological event going to be occurring. In this case, it's a massive earthquake. Threatening Oslo, it's set in Norway. And also he comes in, he tries to warn one of his friends, I think it is, at this sort of a meteorologist or geologist centre. Keeps trying to warn them, look, this is going to happen. They ignore him, keep putting it down to the fact that the city's built on sort of a clay, soft clay, and I think the guy says it's like jello. You make a little bounce somewhere and then the buildings will tip over and things like that. They try to get around it and say, they're basically in denial. They don't want to believe there's a quake coming.
According to the review, it does say that there was an earthquake. This one's going to be worse than the one you know, that just destroyed the city in 1904. So the city does have a history of it. So that's why I was quite surprised that they weren't taking what he was saying that serious.
I'm surprised that there's a history of earthquakes in Norway as well, Stephen, because I do believe we're right on the middle of a sort of a tectonic plate, so we should be miles away from a fault line. Who knows though? I'm not a geologist by any means. I did do geography.
Christian is though.
Yes.
Yep. And yeah, the character. But listen, you see this all the time, predominantly in disaster films, where you get the geologist or whoever it is, the expert, as I said, in these movies that kind of
refuse to listen to them.
Yeah, you see it even in the Independence Day with Jeff Goldblum's character. They don't listen to him.
I don't listen. Dante speak.
Yeah, that was the one. There was actually a spate of disaster films that came out in the late 90s, John. There was that one. There was that one called Volcano as well, as you recall. The one with the meteor, Deep Impact.
Deep Impact. That was a great film. I enjoyed that.
What was the other one called? Armageddon.
Armageddon.
And then you had that Stallone one as well. I don't know if you remember the one Daylight, the one where it was in the New York tunnel under the Hudson.
Oh, I don't recall that one, no.
Where they all get trapped.
There's another one as well with the aging sort of a group that go out onto a ship as well. That may have been Armageddon. I don't think it was though. I think there was another one with the series of veteran actors went on board a ship.
Space Cowboys.
Space Cowboys.
Yeah, that was decent.
Yeah, so I'm a fan of the disaster films, Stephen. As I did say, I went and watched San Andreas. I seen, what the hell was it called? The last one, Skyscraper, was it? I can't recall. The one with Dwayne Johnson last year. get panned and actually get a bit of enjoyment out of it, because
Yeah.
I am a closet disaster film fan, and as I says, I really enjoyed this film. I connected with the Christopher Jonah Christian character. He is a geologist.
Yeah.
He is back. It was him he was in the previous film. As I did say, and as Dave says, he's living alone. He's estranged from his family. He can't get over the disaster that killed hundreds of people, even though he did save his family from that. He's kind of battling that. Just it's kind of like post-traumatic stress he's dealing with. But then he gets a visit from his daughter. Hears word of this incident, and I believe it's a tunnel underneath it leads to Oslo. Decides to go and visit the city, and then all of this starts to occur. And obviously they don't listen to him, as I did say. It is a little bit slow paced, as Dave does touch upon in his review. It's kind of meanders just a little bit nonsensically all over the place for the first 40 minutes or so. Then we get the first moment, his daughter's performing like ballet at this big sort of arena. He's away testing like a sample in the tunnel where the incident happened at the early in the film.
Yeah.
And then it all hell starts breaking loose. And then it really does, after that, shift into this skyscraper. It's like, I think it's the Radisson Hotel or something.
Okay.
Most of the film then takes place within that, and I liked the fact they did that. I don't know if Dave actually touched upon that.
Well, he does touch upon that sequence we were talking about, John.
Yeah, I think he touches upon the actual end sequence where it's tilting the top floor. But I did like the fact that they kind of centred it, because I can't imagine this has got a huge budget, this film. I mean, it's certainly got a decent budget, because some of the CG, as Dave also says, quite impressive. Yeah. Took me aback in its realism. But the fact that they did decide to go indoors for perhaps the last half hour of the film, focus on the innards of this building and trying to save his family. A good 20 minutes takes place in a lift shaft, him and his wife. Then his daughter and a friend of his are up in the top floor, and it's kind of a broken off, tilting into down into the streetscape. So that was very cool, and it really allowed them to get away from some of the things that may hamper some lesser disaster films where you've not got the budget and they try to overstretch it and go for big CG events. They do it and they use it just to the right extent, and then it goes inside and focuses on the more familial, introspective story, him trying to save his young daughter.
I think that's where filmmakers have to be a bit more creative, John, when they do have a restricted budget. George Lucas is a classic case with the original Star Wars.
Stephen.
He had to improvise, he had to make
ping pong tables.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's what you've got to just work with what you've got,
and it worked,
and what you can afford. And sometimes if you've got that artistic flair, you can pull it off. Certainly in the description of this film, director seems to have done that as well. Yeah,
and I completely agree with what you say, Stephen. Getting into the final parts of the film, it is truly gripping, and it is definitely bolstered by some pretty spectacular and convincing special effects. As I says, there's a moment where a building kind of crumbles, falls into the big Hotel Radisson, this glass facade. That was absolutely spectacular. I was riveted by the end scene with him and his daughter, and this friend are trying to save the daughter. This floor's kind of cracked and it's dipping down into the city below. Very, very realistic. Quite on the other hand, I'm a guy that's not a big fan of heights, as you know, Stephen, from the GTA 4 days. Even playing that game, I was getting the heebie-jeebies. Looking at the heights, as well, Spider-Man, Oh. So that was very realistic, and it was very well put together by the cinematographer and also the director. I connected to the characters, I felt for them, the situation they were in. The only thing I would say is it kind of finished a little bit abruptly. Never really showed you how they get out of this precarious position, dangling on this sort of a top floor of this building. It never really showed how they get out, but that's fine. It done its job. It was a big disaster flick with some emotional connections in there, and I was happy with it, man. I definitely would watch another sequel if they decide they want to do another sequel. I don't know, maybe he becomes a guy that flies out, sort of this morbid creature that flies out to all these disastrous events.
He's a bit of a Jonah, right enough.
Yeah, he's a Jonah. Yeah, you're absolutely
right. There's a disaster around. But John, we'll move on to our second review that's coming from Justin Aylward. He is one of our new writers, and we welcome Justin to the MBE team. This film is You Were Never Really Here from 2017, and this was directed by our very own Glaswegian, Lynn Ramsey. And it stars the likes of Joaquin Phoenix and Judith Roberts. Just before we get into the review, John, I know that you've seen the film.
I have.
It's actually just been advertised as we will be putting this out. I think it will be premiering in the next few days on Film 4. That's when I'm going to check it out. But Lynn Ramsey, we looked at our our background in regards to previous movies. She seems to leave it maybe 5-6 years between films. But every
film, Daniel Day-Lewis of the directing world.
Yeah, but every film that we did check out, they were getting very decent ratings.
So Funnily enough, this one's got the lowest, and I actually disagree with the rating on IMDb. I agree more with the critics rating of this film.
6.8, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, the critics on Rotten Tomatoes have gave it a very lofty 89%. They've gave it their approval. It's rated fresh. Audience not so much on board with that rating, 64%. Again, I agree with the critics. I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was absolutely riveting. What a performance from Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah. Completely agree with what Justin says about it being one of the guy's best performances in his career. And this guy's had some tremendous performances throughout his career. Yeah, he's a fantastically... what was the word? What would the word be, Stephen? I don't want to say multifaceted, multi-talented. There's a word for it, but I can't think off the top of my mind. He's a very...
Versatile,
that's the word, actor. Yeah. He's got a great range. He knows how to do a whole host of different genres. We've seen him portray Johnny Cash, played the Emperor in Gladiator. I think he was in Her, that
he was in Signs film as well. Yeah, you know, playing the younger brother of the Mel Gibson character as well. And
he does an absolute tremendous job in this film as well, Stephen.
He played Jesus Christ as well, didn't he, in the Mary Magdalene?
Yes, funny enough, Stephen, we discussed that film about 3-4 months ago, and I've just seen a trailer drop, so I think it's just getting released in the United States.
Yeah, it's been really under the radar, that one.
And he looked brilliant.
Distribution. I can understand why, you know, a lot of people would be against the movie, but I think he's a terrific actor, John. Looking forward to seeing what he does with the Joker film as well. Not the fake trailer that we thought was a real trailer. And I just can't wait to see this film as well. You've spoke about this as well, John. Justin kind of, I'm not going to say dances around the sides here on this, but he does keep it spoiler free to an extent as well. So it's entirely up to yourself if you want to get into...
No, I'll not spoil it, Stephen. I'll do my best not to spoil it.
It doesn't bother me anyway, because I'm going to be watching it anyway, based on what I've seen from the trailer and film for Justin's review, and from obviously hearsay from yourself, John. Yeah,
I'll try my best not to spoil it, Stephen. It's a fairly simplistic story, really. This guy is basically... I think he was an ex-soldier, because he does have flashbacks to sort of moments earlier in his life. He was certainly abused by his father earlier in his life. There's shots of a younger version of him, kind of hanging around in this closet. I think his father's clutching a hammer, something he takes into his older years, because he does have a affinity with a good hammer. And basically this guy wants to right the wrongs of just his abuse in his early years by going out and sort of helping out younger people who have been kidnapped or maybe been abused or stuff like that. So he works with his liaison officer, I believe it's played by John Doman McLeary, the guy's name is in the film. He helps him take cases and stuff like that, and basically he's assigned to this case. This young girl has been abused. I think she's in some sort of a paedophile brothel setup. I don't know. Never really touched upon it in any great depth. I just know the senator in the film. There's not many characters in this film. It's very much limited. There's only about a handful, half a dozen. But he goes off to try and find her. All hell breaks loose, essentially. There's a couple of twists in there and stuff like that about the motives of the senator and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed it. Mostly focused on Joaquin Phoenix, so his performance absolutely sensational. He carries the film throughout. It really had to be carried by him, because, as I did say, the overwhelming majority of the film focuses on him. He's a very interesting character. He's playing this sort of a, how would I put it, reclusive figure that's kind of going out and doing jobs, then he comes back and helps his ailing mother, who's elderly. There's a hint of psycho in there. He kind of plays with her and does psycho, he even makes a noise. And then, interestingly, something happens later on in the film which is kind of a mirror Psycho in a strange way. Also, the old mother in Psycho was dead for a long, long time, lying in the bed with a sort of a psychotic, semi-mentally disturbed son floating around the periphery of the house. Very much similar in this, but he's not a psychopath.
Justin,
he's mentally unhinged though, and Justin's absolutely right in what he says. It's a beautiful portrayal.
Justin also, he commends the director in one particular scene. I think it's in a motel room as well. In regards to the way the director shot this sequence, John.
Shot it from the ceiling. Basically, that's what you'd call it, the ceiling. The roof. Don't want to fling slang in it. I don't know if that's a slang word. I'm pretty sure ceiling, dancing in the ceiling. Yeah, that's an alright word. Basically, it's a mirror on the ceiling, Stephen. I'm pretty sure it was on the ceiling anyway. It was cracked. Right. He's wrestling around with this corrupt police officer, chokes him out, and it's shot from that perspective. I think it's from his eyes. He's looking up and he sees the reflection. And as Justin says, that kind of made him feel uncomfortable, because you don't want to be getting into his mindset inside him and being kind of how would you put it, Stephen? Dirtied by this guy's kind of a sick mind. He's got a strange, I don't want to say sick mind, that's harsh. he's a kind of a tragic figure. But he's certainly, you don't want to be getting in this guy's mindset when he's doing these things, killing people and choking them out and stuff like that. But
I mean, that
was a strange film.
It kind of reminds me, although he wasn't, you know, all out psycho, the character from Three Billboards, the cop, who looked after his mother as well. I can't remember the actor's name.
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell, yeah. You know, the way he behaved when he was, you know, on the job, compared to, you know, when he was at home, was two different sides of him. So I can kind of relate to what you're trying to say there, John, in regards to the character.
Yeah, you don't want to get into his psyche. You really don't want to be getting put in his shoes at any point in the film, because he's a strange guy. But you feel for him, you're kind of conflicted. I really connected with the character.
Yeah, he's a kind of anti-hero as well, isn't he?
Much to the point, like Stephen, that when in the final sequence, there's a really shocking moment in the final sequence. I'll not give it away, but I was actually jumping. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Really?
It really shocked me, but then rectified it very shortly afterwards. But there's another moment, he says, Justin does touch upon it, there's a moment in the film where he also likes to sing with his mother to classic songs on the radio.
Yeah.
There's a nice bit of symmetry around about the middle of the film after a certain shocking event. I'll try not to spoil it, where he's holding hands with somebody you wouldn't expect him to hold hands with on the floor, and he's singing songs in the middle of his kitchen. And there's a nice bit of symmetry there. It's kind of him letting go of that part of his life and deciding, look, I have to move on now and try and save this young girl again. So all in all, it was a very interesting story, very linear. It never overstayed its welcome. It was only an hour and 29 minutes long. Beautifully written by Lynn, I think it was Ramsey, he says, was the director. She wrote it as well. It was based on a book. I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed the performance of the young girl. I think it's Ekaratina something. Ekaratina, she's got a strange sort of a Russian name, but she was great. As Justin says.
Ekaterina, yes, Samsonov, yeah.
Ekaterina Samsonov, that always reminds me of Samsonite from Dumb. But yeah, she was good. He's right, she plays this sort of a doughy-eyed, innocent figure who's thrust into this murky and very strange and kind of a violent world. And she's in it, flits in and out of very briefly, but she's very, very good. It's mostly Joaquin Phoenix here, and he really does excel. It's one of his best performances. I'll touch upon the cinematography as well. I really enjoyed that. This guy's been involved in the likes of Attack the Block and stuff like that. I think it's Thomas Townend. He was involved in Harry Brown. He wasn't the cinematographer though.
Yeah, that was a good film. I liked Harry Brown, yeah.
He's been involved in a whole host of films in some shape or form, perhaps not being the actual full-blown director of photography, but he has been involved. Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead.
Strange one,
done the composing, the soundtrack, and I really liked the soundtrack. It was slightly odd, kind of a roasty, euphoric sort of a high moments where there was a lot of crazy stuff going on. When his sort of a mindset, he was going a little bit deranged and out of his mind. This kind of a score rose to kind of a crescendo, so that was cool. I liked that. It's kind of
that's what Greenwood does best, though.
Yeah, it was subtle in points, quite quiet in the quieter points, and then it rose to absolute madness and was really overbearing in the absolute harmony-kicking moments. But Johnny Greenwood, very, very good job he did. I was surprised to see he was involved.
Excellent
in it.
musician as well, John.
A fantastic musician, what a guitarist. But look, Stephen, I really enjoyed it, as I did say, without really repeating myself again and again. I'd highly urge you to go and watch it. I really got a great deal out of it. I connected well with it. I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the screenplay, I enjoyed everything about it. So there you go.
Listen,
I can't recommend it enough.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy this film as well. I will be watching it on Film 4 when it does premiere this week, later this week.
Watched it on Amazon.
So listen, that just brings us to the end of this week's edition of the blog rundown. We'd just like to thank you once again for joining us, and we will be back again tomorrow with the Force Friday show.
If you're liking this video, then why not check out our other content on our channel. Every Tuesday we break down the top 10 films in the UK on Box Office Chat. Every Wednesday we discuss the latest entertainment news on Movie Burner News. Every Thursday we chat about the latest movie reviews from our writing team on the blog rundown. And we wrap up the week and get ready for the weekend with the Force Friday show, where we discuss the latest news in the world of Star Wars. If you're liking the content we are putting out, then do subscribe to our channel by hitting that subscribe button and click the bell to receive alerts.